afternoon, everyone. Let me get something up real quick. And of course, every single time I get a text message, every single time when I'm starting, let me get this up real quick because there's some news that just broke. I did not expect to go live today, but there's some stuff that's out that needs to be talked about. This just needs to be talked about, man. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. My apologies. It is Thursday. Did not expect to go live today, and this isn't going to be the longest of chats. It'll be about 40 minutes. This will run about 40 minutes. We've talked about a lot of things the past couple weeks. And today, the reason that it's not because it involves a big name, it's not because of any, it's because of what is happening right now is a microcosm of why us as boxing fans feel a certain type of way. And it shows you why we've been let down and let down and let down, and we continue to come back. I love this sport. I love it as an art form, and we tolerate the business. And the reason that we talk about the business side of things is you need to wake people up as to what's going on and what's getting in the way of us getting our fights and our art form on our TV at its best, at its peak. Because when boxing is at its peak, it's the greatest thing. It's the greatest sport on earth. And nothing even comes close to it as far as entertainment value when it's done right. And when you have the right guys in the ring with each other. And the reason that we point this out and go after these snakes, after these unethical, I mean, I would like to call them evil, but unethical dudes who get in the way of that and get in the way of just well-intentioned consumers who just want a certain thing and have been demanding a certain thing for years, and then we're demonized when we demand these things, and we're demonized when we walk out the room. D-Style has brought this up before. It's like going to a convenience store and you buy a Slurpee and then they try to charge you $17 for a Slurpee. You're like, no, I mean, I wanted the Slurpee, but I'm not willing to pay $17 for it. I'm not willing to do that. And then the cashier and the manager come out and start calling you broke. Look at broke boy over here with this broke boy stuff, right? And then you have people in the line behind you. This is even worse. The dudes with Stockholm syndrome who start to echo the talking points of the people who are in the business. And you're just telling them what you want and what you feel things should be valued for. And then they start to demonize you. So the breaking news today and why this needs to be talked about, right, is, I mean, look at this right here. Eddie Hearn has revealed that he had a conversation with David Benavidez, his promoter, Samson Luka Wicks last night, and discussed potentially making the Canelo Alvarez fight on DAZN. But Luka Wicks, of course, said they'd want USA TV rights for Amazon Prime Video. This is insane. Dude, this is absolutely insane. And this is what we wanted on the record, right? When all of this broke with Canelo is going to leave, right? And we said, okay. The first thing we need to be asking here is David Benavidez willing to go over to DAZN to fight Canelo? And if he comes out, the first thing he needs to do, if he really wants this fight, and if he has any type of freedom as a competitor, as a businessman, if he has any type of freedom, he can come out and say, I'm willing to go to DAZN to fight Canelo, because why would I not be? Are you insane? It's the Caleb Plant thing all over again. We were all sitting there in disbelief, anybody who's unbiased. In a sport, especially the Mayweathers of the world have conditioned us to A side, B side, right? And if you're the B side, you gotta, especially if you're the B side by that far, you should not be making any demands, none. If the dude points to you and says, are you willing to fight? You say yes. and you try to get as good a value as possible, but you work off of the assumption fair market value. And are you insane? David Benavidez, Samson Luka Wicka, are you insane if this reporting is true? Are you insane? There are dudes out there already saying things like, well, they're negotiating what? The dude points to you and says, are you willing to come over here and fight? You say yes. What are you negotiating? You have no leverage. Zero. Are you insane? Are you absolutely insane? What is this? What the hell am I watching? And it's the business guys. It's always the low level business guys. But it's Sam. It's Steven Espinoza. For the love of God, dude, can you go out and do something? Instead of being on Twitter with your condescendence and being condescending down to boxing fans and stuff like this with your semantics, the escrow. It's so silly, the escrow. Dude, go do something. Go do something. Why are you on Twitter? You should be hiding under a rock right now. You're getting cover from your best friends in the media as to, well, actually, they didn't lose Showtime because of... No, go hide somewhere until you're able to do something. Shut the hell up. We don't want to hear it anymore. We've lost patience. We're tired. We have no tolerance anymore for marination. We have no tolerance for the business talk anymore. Deliver the fights or get the hell off the pot. That's where we're at. And that's why I needed to come on today and show you. This is the microcosm of where we're at. Everybody is letting us down. You have a fight that's it, dude. It's right there, and everybody's saying that's the fight. Do the fight. And Canelo obviously wants to do this on his terms and said, let's go over to the zone and do it. And you say yes. That's the answer. Say yes. And they're gonna say no again. It took D-Style begging and begging and begging for dudes to come out and ask the question. When Canelo was a free agent, would David Benavidez be willing to go over to DAZN, being that Canelo would rather work with Eddie and DAZN to fight Canelo? And finally, a low-level channel asked the question, and the answer is no. And everybody glosses over it. No? Are you insane? Well, who cares with the fight? Exactly. Who cares? Go over there and do it. It's always the dudes as well who for years have been telling us this is how it works. A side, B side, the Mayweather lingo, right? That he ushered in A side, B side. Cross the street. Your side the street, my side the street. I'm the bigger jaw. You got to cross the street. They held up Spence versus Crawford because of this, fellas. For almost 6 years, Mayweather, Pacquiao held up over drug testing and A side, B side. And now all of a sudden, when it comes to Canelo, Canelo's expected to go fight Caleb Plant on Showtime. Are you insane? Dudes are allowing their bag to be held up. I have to assume either they're complicit in this or they have no freedom. They've signed it all off. And they have dudes obviously above them, snake oil salesmen, unserious people who are using them as leverage. And they're allowing it to happen. Or they just don't have any freedom. Or they're complicit in it. It's one of them. This is a huge macro issue that everybody's missing. It's maddening because everybody seems to be just... It's insane. It's absolutely insane. True Media Boxing Radio, appreciate you. Fire content from you as well. Appreciate you, my man. I'm sorry, man. As a boxing fan, I feel let down from all angles. When you start from the beginning, everybody, every single boxing fan expects when Canelo signs a 3-fight deal with PBC that it's because David Benavidez has to be somewhere in there, right? And David Benavidez, along with several other fighters in that roster around 168 are being used as leverage and bait to get Canelo to come over. So it's obvious as we put things together now, piece things together now, that some other guys were assured a fight with Canelo. They're going to be paid. It's going to be a nice little retirement package for him, right? Mel, Maul, Errol Spence. Every single time I hear it, dude. Even before he lost the fight. Errol Spence at 164, are you insane? And Errol Spence fans were actually believing that they could beat Canelo at 164. But Benavidez, he allows himself to be used as, it's the most maddening thing I've ever seen in this sport, man. He's allowing himself to be used as leverage, as a pawn by his power brokers to get Canelo over whatever else. And he's not in the contract to sign Canelo for 3 fights. And look, Canelo's complicit in this too. I'm not trying to pass judgment off everywhere else, but there's a bigger macro issue. Every single time they do things over there, it involves over-marination. It involves scamming the market. It's a pyramid scheme. It's a Herbalife, Tupperware type scheme. That's what they're running over there. These are not serious people. These are not serious people. This is all too complex when it should be simple. And I'm tired of these dudes acting like they're doing advanced trigonometry over here. You don't understand the delicacies of get the hell in there and make the fight. I'm tired of hearing it. You may be fooling these other dudes over here. Not us. Not us. No serious business people take these dudes seriously. And that's why when these dudes hit me up, right? They always hit me up on Twitter. Every time I talk about the PBC, you just don't understand the business. You don't understand the 8D chess behind this. I get it. I very much understand it. I don't think you do. You're being scammed and you have Stockholm syndrome. You need to get Al Heyman's nuts out your mouth. I'm tired of being patient about this. Nobody seriously who does business deals takes these dudes seriously as far as businessmen. They are scamming the market. They are Ponzi scheme dudes. And they have no more investment money. They've run through it. These are not serious people. These are used car salesmen selling you lemon after lemon after lemon. And I'm tired of the boxing fans more than anything because I already know who they are. I already know who the sanctioning bodies are. And they're making this all too confusing. Dude, tell a dude to fight a mandatory or strip him. Why the hell does Marcharlo have a belt? Why the hell does Raleigh Romero have a belt at 140? How does this dude accidentally fall off the short bus, lose a shot at Tank Davis? How in the hell did he get that to begin with? And then he stumbles a weight class above that and gets another title shot. How is this happening? And I'm supposed to believe that these dudes are highly intelligent people trying to play 8D chess. No, screw them. And screw them if you believe him. I'm done with it. And I've seriously and completely lost my patience for the dudes. And these are usually, look, and I have people telling me all the time, look, when Steven comes after you, when Leonard comes after you, when these dudes come after you on Twitter, right? Had several of them come after me. Supposed to be high-level, intelligent guys, right? With their semantics and their lawyer talk. Now, you should use that. And you should use that on your show to build up. I'm not interested in being attached to these dudes at all, man. I'm not. I can't tell you how little I respect these dudes. No respect. And it's usually these low-level guys that are so condescending, though. The dudes who, with 200 followers, the dudes who have like 3 people in their lives, and they're saying things like, they'll attack you. You don't understand the business because I've been in the business. Do you fold chairs after boxing events? What the hell are you talking about? Anybody who has a YouTube channel knows you get approached by fighters in their teams. Hey, you know, we'll throw you a little bit if you have this guy on the channel and then direct them towards. You're not a boxing person. You're not a boxing business person. Stop the cap. The cap. And understand that we don't respect that. In fact, it's the opposite. We assume that if you're in the boxing business, especially in America, that you're responsible for the masses of people walking out the door. Leonard Ellerby talks about the 200,000 people left. And I'd love for somebody to ask him, why are there only 200,000 hardcore, diehard boxing fans left in America? Why? And why 5 years from now will it be 150? And why 10 years from now will it be 100,000? Why? Why is that? And these dudes are going to come to rest on the boxing fans that were thieves, that we steal fights, demonizing us. You want to talk about thieves? You want to talk about thieves? It's why I don't demonize the dudes who are out there doing what they're doing with pay-per-views. If they're doing whatever they're doing, you're the thieves. They're reciprocating your energy. They're giving it back to you. You've been thieving from the market for years, 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 giving us less, charging us more. I have the stats. 30 years ago, the top 10 fighters, top 10 pound for pound fighters in the world fought a combined 37 times in a year. Last year, y'all fought 15 effing times combined. 15. Charles Barkley's out there with Stephen A. Smith talking about why is it that viewership as far as the NBA continues to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle and dwindle every year. It's not difficult. And that's what Charles is trying to tell Stephen A. Smith. You pay a lot of money to go to a game. I've done it. I paid for courtside seats for me and my son. And I go to a game and Zion and Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum are all in street clothes. Game time decision. Load management. Why in the hell would we be emotionally invested in athletes making $50 to $60 million per year? Whatever they're making. The average NBA player makes $10 million, according to Charles Barkley. That's the average. And they're playing less. They think they're above playing 4 games in a week. And if there's 3 games in a week, they're going to play 2 out of the 3. It's called load management. And we see this year after year after year after year. We see these dudes give up 200 plus points in an all-star game just because they don't want to compete. And we're saying, why am I going to be invested in that emotionally? We see this situation right here. And we say, if Canelo's coming over to PBC, it's obvious, right? All parties come together, and within that 3-fight, Benavidez is in there somewhere. All parties involved. Benavidez, Canelo not in there. What am I to think as a boxing fan? It is especially troublesome if you're the B side. Why? You haven't built up the track record as this A side. If you look at Canelo's track record, he's fought Trout with half the money because it wasn't on Mayweather's pay-per-view. He fights Mayweather. He fights Lara when people say he wasn't going to fight Lara. He fights Golovkin 3 times. He fights Cotto. Takes the B side by far in that fight when he could have tried to A side Cotto. So he's made sacrifices to at least get where he wants, even if he's not moving the way we want right now. And we'll have those conversations. Believe me. Trust me. You're the B side and you've accomplished zip. You had a belt, dropped it twice. What is this? You're not on your team to get your name on the contract to fight Canelo within these 3 fights. And then each fight, you're going to come out and say, Canelo's ducking me. Canelo's ducking me. What is this? It's a clout chase. To me, what it looks like, this is what it looks like from the outside in, and you're not going to fool us. You're not going to fool us. We're just going to start calling it what it is, even if we don't know the facts, even if we're not in the business. It looks like a clout chase. This looks like they're turning David Benavidez's career into Gervonta Davis's career. That's what it looks like to me. Clout chase the guys in the division above you. Avoid the bigger fights that would be make that you would make more money because they involve too much risk. But at the same time, clout chase those guys, pick off easier belts, mandatories, interim championships, Reggies. Take the easier fights. There's an easier fight in a weight class north of you. There's a tougher fight in the weight class with Morrell Jr. if you're not going to fight Canelo Alvarez, but avoid that one and take a risk, right, of moving up in weight class because they brainwash people to believe that, right? Matteo Barrios is a tougher fight than Vasily Lomachenko, right? And I don't understand the Morrell Juniors of the world either. What in the hell are they doing for you, bro? What are they doing? These are dudes over there on that roster that 10, 15 years from now, we'll be looking at like Peter Quillins, right? Remember Peter Quillin? He was used as leverage. They made him give up a belt. Then he had to circle back and get it. Just baffling moves at the time. We're all watching like, what the hell are they doing? That's how we'll be viewing the Benavidez's, the Tanks, and the Morrell Juniors of the world 10, 15 years from now. What could have been with these guys? What could have been had they just been unleashed? Had they been wise enough to know that dudes above them are taking advantage of them? Clearly, it's clear at this point. It's clear. You're not willing to go to the zone to fight Canelo? Are you insane? Are you absolutely insane? And I already hear them. I already hear the business guys, right? The guys with 200 followers, the guys with three people on their lives. You just don't understand the business. You don't understand. You don't know what it's like to be in these. I know what it's like to be in board meetings. And I'm tired of being humble with these dudes, by the way. I got dudes like Chauncey telling me, please flex on these dudes. I guarantee you I'm fine. I'm doing fine over here. I'm willing to buy these pay-per-views 1,000,000 times over. I can guarantee you that. I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. Doing fine with money? I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Nando Yamas, 199 super chat. Floyd did the exact same thing to Manny for years. One thing we've lost in boxing is young lions going after the old lions and attacking them. Just attacking it, nipping and nipping and nipping. This right here with Benavidez ain't it. It ain't it. Because now we know you were never in the contract, bro. So you can say whatever you want about we're trying to get the fight. We're trying to get the fight. We're trying to offer this guy $55 gazillion. We don't believe you anymore. We don't believe you. You're not in the contract, bro. So you drop the bag, drop the belt. Drop the bag, drop the belt. Try to work your way back up, and it looks good, right? It looks good. You got Canelo's over here, 3-fight contract, right? So we're going to get the fight. Your team doesn't corner him on paper by putting your name on the contract? Are you insane? And you can argue Canelo's complicit in this, right? I get it. Canelo, he could push for Benavidez's name to put on the paper, be put on the paper, obviously. But who's to say he didn't? And that's the point. If they really want this fight, I'll tell you what, man. If you really want this fight, then one thing we know is you're extremely dumb. You're extremely incompetent. If you really want the fight. Because if you really want the fight, you wouldn't have dropped the belt twice, number one. But then when you get Canelo over there, you at least corner him on paper. And then if you really want the fight when he leaves, because these dudes aren't even capable anymore of, just think of what other fighters are doing right now. When they see on Monday that PBC dropped the Canelo bag, 33% through, they're not even halfway through this contract, fellas. 33% of the way through this contract. And they start to play number games and try to change the language on a contract for Canelo. Just think of what they're going to do to you. This is Canelo. This dude's up there with Messi or Ronaldo. We're not even talking about boxing, and LeBron and Tom Brady. He's on the Forbes list, for the love of God. And you're playing games with his contract? Are you insane? How do you think other fighters are looking at this? Like, if they're willing to do that to him, what are they going to do to me? I'm nobody. So if Benavidez really wants this fight, like they've been saying, they've been trying to sell to people, then you have the most incompetent team of all time, bro. And you're the face of that team, so you're incompetent. I don't know what to tell you. Of course Canelo doesn't get a pass on this, and of course if Canelo fights Berlanga, we're going to shit all over that fight like birds on a windshield. We got time for that. But you're the B-side. You're the young lion. You're supposed to be hunting down the old lion, but it looks like purposely you continue to allow him to go. While you go over here and try to scam the market and make people believe that you want the fight. You want the fight. We offered this dude $55 gazillion. We don't believe you anymore. We don't believe you. And this was your out. This was your opportunity to come out if this reporting is true. But even if it's not, dude, what a mess. What a mess, because we've been saying since Monday, and it's Thursday now, you need to come out and say, I'm willing to go to DAZN to fight Canelo. This doesn't mess anything up. This doesn't stop anything. He has to see me before he sees guys like Berlanga. I'm willing to go over there in a New York minute. We're 3 days into this. He hasn't done that. And now we're hearing reports, and Eddie doesn't seem like the type to lie about this stuff. When it comes to Canelo, what happens with Eddie is Eddie's seen these other dudes drop the bag. He's seen Oscar mess this up. Now he's seen Al mess this up, right? So when Eddie is dealing with Canelo, what happens? Eddie's not going to talk about something publicly unless it comes from Canelo's mouth. Eddie's not going to mess that up. So if Eddie's out there saying, we're willing to fight Benavidez on DAZN, and maybe this is a bluff, right? Maybe this is cap. But if you're Benavidez, you don't allow him an out. You call the bluff. And there shouldn't even be a bluff to call. You should have already been out there in front of this and said, look, they might have dropped the bag. I'm willing to go over there and fight that dude. He has to see me. I'm willing to go over. Who do you think you are? You're not willing to go to DAZN to fight Canelo? Who are you? And I'm sure I'm going to have these business experts tell me that, look, we need to see how this plays out because, they're just using this using what as leverage? They have no leverage. This dude is fighting on pay-per-views, and he looks up and he sees parts of the arena bannered off because they can't even sell out the arena. This dude is fighting pay-per-views, and he's selling 49,000, 60,000, whatever it is. And we weren't even going to bring this up. We said we don't care about the business side. Competitively, we're there. We're there already. Do the fight. But now we have to. Now we got to do it, right? Since you want to use leverage. What leverage? 49,000 pay-per-view buys, if that. 60,000, because that's what's being reported. Just imagine what the real numbers look like. You got parts of the arena curtained off, and Jaime Munguia comes to your hometown and outsells you. And you're in position to negotiate? In what world? Business people, explain it to us. Explain it to us to where it makes sense. You geniuses out there. Explain it to us. How's that make sense? Sanctioning bodies continue to let us down, not enforcing mandatories, and teams continue to let us down because have they petitioned the WBC? Have they pushed for that fight? No, before the March deadline, they're already up to 175. Why? Flex your muscles. The leverage that you actually have, you're not exercising. What does that tell us once again? Are they trying to use the Gervonta Tank Davis blueprint with David Benavidez? That's the question I have now. The question of the week was, is David Benavidez willing to go to the DAZN to fight Canelo Alvarez? And I think we have our answer now for the second time. The second time, the answer seems to be no. And I said, if that answer is no again, that's going to tell us everything we need to know. So the question now is, are they trying to turn David Benavidez into the light heavyweight, it looks like, in the future version of Tank Davis? Are they going to clout chase off of other names while they take low-risk fights, mow guys down, try to become these high percentage knockout, entertainment value type fighters while scamming the market? And this is maddening to me as a boxing fan. Why? Because I want to love Tank Davis. I want to love David Benavidez. I want to support Boots Ennis. I want to support all of these guys. And Boots isn't even a PBC fighter, but once again, he's hanging around the same guys, right? Steven Espinoza is managing that guy, apparently. Good Lord. Once again, man, these dudes are signing their lives away. They have no freedom. And the dudes who are going to win in this market are the ones who have freedom, and the ones who trust their ability, and the ones who fight the fights, and the ones who are active. Where the hell is Boots Ennis? Where'd he go? Where is he? Tank is going on a year inactive, and it looks like by the time he fights, it'll be 15, 16 months, and you can say he's on house arrest. That's his fault. I don't know, man. Like, my advice would be, don't hop on a booster seat in a Ferrari, speed while you're drunk, hit pregnant women, and run. That would be my advice. I'm tired of hearing the excuses. Well, Errol couldn't do this because of this. I don't care. Why aren't these dudes fighting? And now you're going to fight Frank Martin. And I'm supposed to be excited about that because that's what the boxing writers tell me. You boxing fans, once again, you boxing fans just can't have a nice thing. You can't have anything nice, you boxing fans. Top 10 lightweight matchup. Where's Devin? Why didn't he fight Devin? Now Devin's fighting Ryan. Turkey Al-Sheikh said, come over here, Tank. Could do you versus Devin. That'd have been a good fight, right? No, we can't have it. No questions asked, by the way. Tank says, no, we're not going to do that fight. No questions asked. That's what Steve Kim was talking about in this article this morning. The same rules that apply to Canelo do not apply to Tank. They don't. Tank doesn't want to fight Devin. Nobody asked any questions. It's his right. He's the A side, right? The hell is this? So we're not going to get the Devin fight. Shakur was available. You're not going to fight him. Why? Why? It'll be a million excuses, right? Why? You could have fought Shakur. No. You could have fought Lomachenko for 5, 6, 7 years now. No, we can't have it. Why? And I'm sitting here, a dumb boxing fan. Why can't we have Tank versus Lomachenko? Why not? Why not? And I'm supposed to get excited about Tank versus Frank. Get the hell out of here. And poor Frank. And once again, I used to have empathy for these dudes. I used to say these dudes are just being taken advantage of and they're just not intelligent enough to figure it out, right? But you start to see this stuff. Frank Martin turns down $1 million to fight Shakur Stevenson. $1 million by all reports. And if the reporting is true, he's taking 20% of that to fight Tank Davis. Why? And they'll brainwash you to think that this is a bigger fight for Frank Martin. Well, the numbers, you want us to pay attention to numbers. The numbers don't say that. They were willing to give this dude $1 million to fight Shakur. And Shakur would have been one-armed. And he would have likely had a better chance of winning that fight if Shakur has one arm, right? But he doesn't take the risk. He lays back, and I'm assuming they're telling him, don't take that fight, stay undefeated, and we'll feed you the Tank. He probably believes he's going to win the fight, right? But this dude is going to sit back and play it safe until he fights Tank for 200 grand. Is that what they're saying? The hell is wrong with these dudes? It's a constant Ponzi scheme. So when you come to rest on boxing fans and you call us thieves and you call us ungrateful and all these names, who are the thieves? These dudes are thieving fighters, number one. They're advising guys, Raleigh Romero, for example, to fight Isaac Cruz on an undercard of a pay-per-view that nobody's going to watch instead of going to fight Ryan Garcia and be on First Take, which would have probably been an easier fight for him, to be on First Take, to be on a Breakfast Club, to have a real press conference on the actual that's the press conference is televised by the platform it's going to be on. Instead, this poor bastard, this poor short bus bastard, takes the advice of his genius advisor playing 8D chess to go sit on an undercard and probably lose his belt in a fight nobody's going to watch. Unreal. Unreal. Caleb Plant's bag gets held up because this dude wants to play hardball with networks when it comes to Canelo as a 90-10 B-side. And now you have David Benavidez, I'm sure, being advised to take the easy route and clout chase off of bigger names. And when they ask you, because they're going to ask at some point, somebody's going to get the balls to finally ask and say, are you willing to go to DAZN? You got to say no. Sorry, you don't have the freedom, bro. No, the answer is no. One of these fighters is going to realize that they're being stolen from. Essentially, you could be making more money elsewhere. You could be fighting more. And as boxing fans, we've already sniffed this out. The real boxing fans, we've sniffed out that you've been thieving us for years, not giving us the fights we want, giving us worse content because, as we talked about with inflation, right? It's not just that the price of things go up. It's the quality of the things deteriorate. It's a double punch. That's what's happened in boxing. It's gotten worse and worse. Go look at the pound for pound list from 2003, 1993. Look at the quality of fighter on there, particularly the quality of American fighter, and look at how much they were fighting. And look at the prices of the fights, even adjusted for inflation. You're getting screwed as a boxing fan. And that's why it rubs me the wrong way, because when you have these low-level, idiotic, low IQ, unethical, because they're calling me, some of these dudes, I'll tell you, I've seen pictures of some of these dudes, and they're calling me all kind of names and making fun of my facial features and stuff. Unethical dudes, low-value dudes, telling us we don't know what we're talking about, and it's our fault because we're thieves. If anybody's thieves, it's you. You have to understand, and I see Ring IQ do this. He attacks these dudes back on Twitter. I wish I had the time to do it, but he'll give it to him back. Good for him, man. I appreciate him doing this, and he's doing God's work out there. But when these low-level dudes who pretend to be in the business, and if they are in the business, they're folding chairs after events, right? Or it's something super-duper low-level. He gives it back to him. He says, we are not impressed by you. Why do you think that it's a flex that you're in the American boxing business? When you tell us that, we just assume you're dumb. We just assume you're at some percentage responsible for the mass exodus of American boxing fans. We are not impressed by that. We are not impressed by Steven Espinoza, the Weasel. Stop attacking and being condescending to boxing fans on Twitter and get busy actually doing something. We're not impressed by you. We are not impressed by Leonard Ellerbe. These are the least impressive, unserious people in the business world. And we've talked about it, how Max Kellerman always says, if you have a fight on one corner and you have a basketball game on one corner and a football game on one corner, everybody's going to gravitate towards the fight naturally. Naturally, everybody's going to gravitate towards the fight. But these dudes have messed things up so bad, so royally, that people would rather go to the football game and the dudes wrestling half naked than go to the dudes throwing down. That's how unethical, unserious, low IQ, low margin, Tupperware, Herbalife selling ass dudes are out there in the boxing world. It attracts, it's a natural gravitational force to unimpressive people, one, and I'm talking about as far as the boxing world. So all you boxing business world idiots out there, this is dedicated to you. You're either unethical, incompetent, or you corrupt, or a mixture of all. We're not impressed. We're not impressed. And we see the sanctioning bodies. For the love of God, they can't get it right. They could be forcing fights at 168. They could be doing their actual job and giving us fights at 168. They could be forcing Berlanga versus Morrell Jr. They could be getting these guys in the room and trying to say, look, the contract, no contract. Look, it's up. Canelo versus Benavidez. You guys going to get it done? No, neither one of you want it? Okay, Canelo, you're stripped. Okay, Benavidez, take a step to the side and you go to the back of the line. We'll do Billy versus Munguia or whatever. It's all too complex. It's all too confusing. The world is getting more simple, low attention span. People want simplicity. For you boxing business guys out there playing 8D chess and doing advanced trigonometry in order to give you what you want, you need to simplify. Sanctioning bodies get it together, but they're not. They're too corrupt. Mauricio Suleiman can go to hell. Go to hell. I'm not impressed by you either. None of us are. Boxing writers can be your friend and pretend like you're a serious person. You're also not a serious person. Suleiman, Sampson with your 27 gold chains and your slick back hair selling people lemons. Al Heyman, Steven Espinoza, Leonard Ellerby. None of you are serious people. None of us are impressed by you. Stop being fooled by your little dudes on Twitter, your little cult members on Twitter who are out there stroking you off and acting like you're the smartest dudes in the room playing 8D chess. Pretty soon, those dudes are going to be in hiding anyway. When you start to have a lower market value and you start to go away. But I see young lions, David Benavidez, supposed to be Tank Davis, Frank Martin, and these guys are just taking the easy route. And Tank Davis is backing his way into top 10 pound for pound list. For the love of God, man. And when it comes to David Benavidez, I'm sorry, man. I would love to be fans of these dudes. Love. I see everything that's good with these dudes. I see marketable dudes. Seems like a good dude. Him in particular. Beautiful wife, family, impressive talker. He's an orator. Fun to watch. And then I watch this. I'm like, what? Why the hell? It's Charles Barkley once again with the NBA. Why in the hell would we get emotionally invested in this? Why? Why would I get emotionally invested in David Benavidez? They've brainwashed boxing fans to not ask, to feel guilty about asking, what's in it for me? Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. I know what's in it for you. I know what's in it for him. I know what's in it for them. What's in it for me? You're giving me a devalued product, a terrible, it continues to get worse and you're charging me more for it. What's in it for me? And you got dudes out here calling us thieves. You're the thieves. You're the thieves. We're not dumb over here. My chat is not dumb. You can say whatever you want about me. Dude, I got thick skin. I'm not worried about it. And none of these dudes are my peers. I don't plan on pulling up at fights and having dinners with these boxing writers and stuff like that. The hell with them. Don't care. I'm a boxing fan. I plan on hanging out with other boxing fans, having steak dinner, having beers with my guy Drew here. By the way, super chat, saludos hermano, more DJ Luca Wicca nonsense. Remy, $2 super chat. My guy Drew here. We'll have steak dinner. We'll drink beers, Modelo's, look at beautiful Latinas walk around. We'll have a blast. We're not interested in hanging out with you dudes. You are not our peers. We are not impressed by any of you. You are all dropping the ball. And this right here, fellas, is a microcosm of it. This whole situation right here, this should have been easy. This should have been simple. And it became all too complex. And I'm scrolling through Twitter earlier and I see Michael Benson with 2 N's report this. That Eddie Hearn, according to Eddie Hearn, IFL TV, Eddie Hearn's saying he talked to Samson Luka Wicks last night about a possible Canelo versus Benavidez fight, which should not be dead. You have been brainwashed to believe that this fight is dead since Canelo is over there and David's over here. This is easy. This isn't a 50-50 situation. This isn't Mayweather Pacquiao. This isn't Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. For the love of God, man. This is Canelo versus David Benavidez. The dude can't even sell 27 pay-per-views. If they put Benavidez versus Vodzik on pay-per-view, dude, it's going to take them 2 minutes to add up those pay-per-views. That's a simple one. We've been talking about it since Monday, bro. Come out and say, I'm willing to go to DAZN. And then you'll have people like me saying, Canelo, the ball's in your court now. You cannot fight any of these other dudes. You got to see Benavidez now. That's how simple it is. But the dude is unwilling to do it. Unbelievable. It's the same thing as that dude from Nashville, Caleb Plant. Nobody knows who he is outside of Nashville. Nobody. I even went to Nashville. And if I would have talked to people in Nashville, they probably wouldn't have even known who Caleb Plant is. They'll know Steve McNair. Won't know Caleb Plant. And this dude is trying to flex muscles and say, you got to come over here to Showtime. And Canelo did it. He went over there to fight Caleb Plant. It's unbelievable. And I guess they're expecting him to go back over there and fight Benavidez on Amazon with their 200 million subscribers. Samson blocking the fight and tell Habib PBC broke and that Amazon deal has no budget. I have to assume you're correct, Drew, from what I'm seeing. I have to assume you're correct. There's just nothing there. Nothing there. I love Tim Tszyu, but that's a low budget pay-per-view. Tank versus Frank. They're paying Frank $200K, whatever. They're offering to pay Cody Crowley, who retired, on social media because he's just sitting there. They offered him to pay $200K to fight Boots, apparently, and the dude's above it, apparently. That dude's probably up in Canada doing whatever dudes do in Canada, right? Just laying up, sipping maple syrup, whatever they do in Canada, right? And they're offering him $200K, and he's like, $200K? Why would I fight Boots for $200K? What other offers do you have, bro? Who else are you gonna fight? What are you gonna do? You're just gonna lay up and retire and sip maple syrup for the rest of your life up there in Canada? What are you gonna do? What's the move, bro? Boots, what's the move? And for the love of God, can one of these boxing writers out there ask Boots Ennis, please, for the love of God, if he wants to bud fight? Obviously, he was unwilling to take the correct route. I think I'm back. Can a boxing writer please ask that question? Boots, you willing to go to 154? Can boxing writers please ask the correct questions? How was your camp? How do you think his camp was? What do you mean, how was his camp? Are you willing to go to 154? How's it like working with Steven? How's it like working with your dad in training camp? Boots, are you willing to go to 154? Please, somebody ask. Are you willing to go to 154 to fight Bud, for the love of God? Does anybody in the boxing media have brain cells? Are you willing to go to the zone to fight Canelo? It took D-Style months of begging for someone to ask this question. And they think he has ulterior motives because he's a Canelo fan. No, we're just asking, bro. We understand Canelo's a free agent, but he's the face of boxing, right? We've been told this is how that works. This works because it works that way with Tank, right? And it worked that way with Floyd. So he can go wherever he wants. Would Benavidez be willing to come over to the zone? And finally, a low-level channel asked this question. And then it was just glossed over. No? K? No? You're not willing to go over to the zone to fight Canelo? Are you insane? Are you insane? This should not even be this shouldn't even have to be asked, fellas. This should have been Monday, how business goes. If this were an ethical business being run properly, they're instructing Benavidez, and they've been instructing him poorly if this is what they want. If they want the Canelo fight, this is the most incompetent team I've ever seen. We talked about this, right? We've talked about how Jose is over here saying whatever he's saying. He says something else over here. And Samson, Luka, Wicca, 27 gold chains. It's all too confusing. Get on the same page. Get your messaging correct. And if they really want the fight, come out and say, we're willing to go to the zone and do whatever to get the fight. Say that on Monday. Now we're on Thursday, and Eddie Hearn has to come out and say, I talked to Samson. They're not willing to come over here. Are you insane? You're not willing to go to the zone to fight Canelo? This is the most laughable, incompetent team I've ever seen if they really want the Canelo fight. But they don't. They don't. And I understand. Same thing could be levied against Canelo. He probably doesn't want it either. That's what it's looking like, right? Neither guy wants it. And we're being let down as boxing fans because we want it. But you understand it from Canelo's side, because if he's not being forced into it by the power brokers of David Benavidez, then okay, give me the easy fights then. Whatever. Errol, 164? You want me to fight Errol Spence? Done. You're going to give me $35 million to fight Errol at once? Done. Done. Give it to me. Mel? Maul? What? What? And David's team is so incompetent if they do want this. And let's just work this exercise that if they do want it, because that's what they're saying, right? They want the Canelo fight. If they do, it's the most incompetent team I've ever seen in my life. Not only did David drop the belt twice, but now his team doesn't get him on the paper for a 3-fight deal to fight Canelo. And then now we know the whole thing was capped. We know it officially now. The whole thing was a clout chase. You know you're not the fight because it's on paper saying you're not the fight, yet publicly you're coming out and Canelo's not even defending himself when you're doing it. And you're out there saying, why doesn't Canelo fight me instead of Mel? What do you mean? It's right there on the paper. You read it, right? You're not the fight. Why doesn't he fight me in May? What do you mean? It's right there on the paper. You're not the fight. Why wouldn't he fight me in It's right there on the paper, bro. You're not the fight. So the whole thing is just clout chase. And then we can remedy this situation. Canelo leaves. We reset the board and we say, okay, let's reset the board then. Are you willing to go to the zone? No. No? This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. The sanctioning bodies from Al Heyman to Samson Luka Wicca Works to the Cubans to all those guys. To the sanctioning bodies, Mauricio Suleiman, to they don't even know if Berlanga is the mandatory. Now we're finding out that Berlanga has to fight Morrell Jr. first, and then Canelo wants to fight Berlanga, then it's involuntary defense, whatever they want to call it. This is all so convoluted and stupid when it could have been so simple. Just get to the damn fight. And if Canelo doesn't want it, then we find out. You force him into it. And if he doesn't do it, then we find out. But it doesn't look like anybody wants this fight except us. The hell with them. And to hell with anybody explaining this away. Appreciate the $5 super chat. D-Style, cook 'em. And hopefully I'll be on with y'all on the round table tonight. But I got to roll, man. Peace. God bless.